One of the more obscure figures in the entire Bible is a figure named Melchizedek. He is mentioned once in Genesis and once in the Psalms, and nowhere else, either in the Old or New Testaments, except in the letter to the Hebrews, which mentions him no fewer than 8 times. So let me ask a question straight out of the vernacular. What's up with that? Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Tuesday, August 2nd, 2023. There's a story in Genesis 14, which is itself rather obscure, in which Abram's nephew Lot has been taken captive by military forces. When Abram hears of it, he gathers a small militia and recaptures his nephew and all his goods that had been stolen and brings them back to camp. Then the king of the nearby town of Salem, possibly the precursor to Jerusalem, comes out and gives Abram a blessing. The king's name? Melchizedek. And not only is he the king of that town, he is also a priest of a god called El Elyon, the Most High God. This is the only time we meet the actual figure of Melchizedek. All of the other references to him look back to this one obscure event. The mention of Melchizedek in the Psalms is from Psalm 110, which says, "The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek." That's all the background we have on this mysterious figure. Why then does the writer of the letter to the Hebrews make such a big deal out of him? He mentions him in chapters 5 through 7, an extended discussion of Jesus as the great high priest who performs intercession on our behalf. So here's my best shot at an answer, and it is contained in today's question. It is from Hebrews 7:11. Here's what it says. "Now, if perfection had been attainable through the Levitical priesthood, for the people received the law under this priesthood, what further need would there have been to speak of another priest arising according to the order of Melchizedek, rather than one according to the order of Aaron?" The writer of the letter to the Hebrews makes a lot out of Christ as the high priest of God, but he clearly wants to distinguish him from the regular priests of the family of Levi, the Levitical priests. The Levitical priests were concerned with the maintenance of the law, especially the sacrificial law, as the means by which people could be made righteous before God. By contrast, he says, Jesus is the one great high priest who makes intercession on our behalf through the sacrifice of his own life, once and for all. As the writer says in the introduction to this whole discussion of Melchizedek, we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who in every respect has been tested as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore approach the throne of grace with boldness, so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. For whatever reason, the writer of this letter fixes on Melchizedek as the model for such a priest. But again, this begs the question, why Melchizedek? Why such an obscure figure? The answer, I think, is hidden in plain sight. In the first place, he's not only a priest, but he's also a king, thus uniting priesthood and kingship into one figure, which prefigures Christ. And then there is his name. His name consists of 2 Hebrew nouns which together describe who he is. The first part of his name, Melchi, is a form of Melech, meaning king or ruler. The second part of his name, Zedek, means righteous. You're familiar with this word even today, as it is preserved in the word Hasidic, as in Hasidic or ultra-Orthodox Jews. And one other thing, when the mention of Melchizedek comes in Genesis, there is no mention of who his parents are, which is a really unusual thing. Almost everyone who appears in the Old Testament appears as so-and-so, son of so-and-so. But here we just get Melchizedek. So there it is. Melchizedek, righteous king, who is a priest of the Most High God, who is mysterious and comes from absolutely nowhere and has no parentage, just as Jesus himself comes from the Most High God. And Psalm 100 reinforces the idea that the chosen one of God is priest forever. So what the writer of the letter to the Hebrews is saying is that Jesus is our King and our High Priest forever, a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. Now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.